Yeah, it's Dieter Ebeling from DPA, the German news agency. Secretary General, this morning you spoke about the Ukraine question and the sovereignty and territorial integrity, and you said that you had transmitted that message to whom it may concern. Can we understand the essence of the declaration by ministers as a warning to the Russians not to do anything that might be dangerous? And to what extent is NATO prepared to guarantee the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of Ukraine? And have you been informed by the Russians about their military exercises in advance?
To take the latter first, yes, the Russians have informed us about this military exercise. But let me stress that the declaration, or the statement we have issued today is first and foremost a message to the Ukrainian people, a message of solidarity, a message of support, a message of continued engagement with Ukraine within our NATO-Ukraine Commission. And I think in the wake of all what we have seen in Ukraine, it is of utmost importance that we issue such a statement of support. We adhere to the principle that each and every nation has an inherent right to decide itself when it comes to alliances and foreign and security policies, and we wanted to emphasize these principles.
James?
Yes, Brooks Signer, Jane's Defense. You didn't mention much about capabilities other than in broad terms. Are you looking at large flagship projects for the summit, something which can bring together several nations and provide capabilities by then? Thank you.
Indeed, we are looking at ways to fill some of the gaps that were identified during recent operations. You will remember, I suppose, that after the Libya operation, or during the Libya operation, we identified some shortfalls within intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, read observation drones. We also identified, in particular, a European shortfall when it comes to air-to-air refueling. We are looking at ways to fill these gaps. In that respect, I appreciate that the European Council in December adopted conclusions with a focus on intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, including drones, and a focus on air-to-air refueling. And I consider that an important input to the NATO summit in Wales in September. Also, when it comes to missile defense, I think European allies could come forward with more contributions. We welcome contributions already announced, but I think there is a potential for more. Just to mention some of what you call flagship areas.
Answer?
Today, the Italian defense minister raised the question of the two Italian Marines who are under trial in India. So I wonder what is the support that NATO can give to Italy on this issue?
As I've said before, I am personally very concerned about the situation of the two Italian sailors. And today we took note of the statement of the Italian defense minister. as I've already said, this case could have possible negative implications for the international fight against piracy, a fight which is in all our interest. So I trust that we will see an appropriate resolution soon.
NPR. Terry Schultz with NPR and CBS News. General Dempsey in Kabul today says that he's worried that all this talk of the zero option may be counterproductive, that it may lead Afghan forces to join the Taliban out of fear. Do you share those concerns? And also, are you worried about the credibility of NATO after months and months of first asking nicely and then asking more impatiently and threatening Karzai that he was risking so much by not signing the BSA, and now basically nothing happens, you just say you're going to wait? Doesn't that make any future political pressure toothless? Thanks.
First of all, actually, we are not talking about a zero option. On the contrary, we are talking about our preferred option, which is to deploy a NATO-led training mission to Afghanistan after 2014, a resolute support mission, that's the name, and we continue planning for this. So that's what we're speaking about. Our preferred option is to deploy such a training mission to Afghanistan. But of course, we have to take realities into account. And the reality is that so far, we have not got a signature on the bilateral security agreement between the United States and Afghanistan, which means that nor have we finalized the NATO status of forces agreement. These are facts of life, and it's also a fact that if we don't get the legal framework in place, then we can't deploy, and then we will have to withdraw everything by the end of this year. That's actually not what we're speaking about. We're speaking about the preferred option to have a training mission after 2014. But of course, for planning reasons, we do need to plan for all eventualities. Still, I think we will get a signature. It may well be that President Karzai won't sign, but I expect a new president to sign, because a lot is at stake.
BBC? And the credibility question?
Yeah, but, I mean, my conclusion is that probably President Karzai won't sign. So that's why we have to plan for all eventualities, while at the same time we continue planning for a deployment of a training mission, assuming that a new president will sign a security agreement.
BBC.
Thank you. Yes, Jonathan Marcus, BBC. Secretary General, quick question on Ukraine. A lot of stress in your statements on inclusiveness and minority rights inside Ukraine. Clearly there are many minorities, not just ethnic Russians and Russian passport holders. When you hear the Ukrainian minister tomorrow, will you be stressing some of these points to him, that a lot still rests upon the actions of the new interim Ukrainian government? And secondly, looking forward towards the Wales summit, from your list of activities and so on, would it be fair to say that we're now entering a phase where NATO is increasingly just going to be a military contractor of one kind or another for the alliance countries? That seems to be the kind of focus and the rather grand political objectives of the alliance. If you go back to the 90s, further expansion, its diplomatic side and so on, seem to be, in some senses, beginning to take very much a backseat.
First, on Ukraine, yes, the political messages in today's statement will, of course, be conveyed to the Ukrainian minister when we meet him tomorrow. And I think it is important to convey the message that an inclusive democratic process in Ukraine is of utmost importance in order to ensure long-term stability in the country. On the future of NATO, if I understand your question correctly, you indicate that NATO might turn into more or less a political organization.
Yeah, more a military organization. Some of the loftier political ambitions, in a sense, have fallen away. Countries like Ukraine are not going to join NATO, let's be honest. It would cause an immense amount of problem if NATO continued down that kind of path, which seemed to be the trajectory back in the 90s.
Yeah, but also after the summit, NATO will continue to be a political military alliance. Obviously, NATO is a military alliance, actually the strongest military alliance in the world and maybe in the history. And that's the essence of our alliance, to be able to defend and protect our populations and our societies effectively. In the strategic concept, we have defined our core tasks, namely collective defense, crisis management, and what we call cooperative security. And the latter, of course, refers to the fact that in today's world, security is not only a military matter. Security is also about having strong partnerships, partners with whom you can operate, but also partners with whom you can engage politically. So you will see a reaffirmation of these three core tasks at the NATO summit, but what you will also see at the NATO summit is an enhancement of our partnerships, as well as enhancement of our military capabilities. So it will be a strengthened NATO, both in the political and the military area.
Bloomberg.
Jim Nuger from Bloomberg. You said that Russia informed you of the military exercises. When exactly did Russia make this notification? And what concerns do you have about the scope and breadth of this particular set of exercises?
I have been in meetings the whole day, so I don't know exactly when the Russians notified NATO. I got the message during the meetings this afternoon. And the second part of your question, please.
Just given the scope and breadth of these particular exercises and their location, what concerns do you have?
Yeah, I'm not in a position to go into details about the scope or purpose of this exercise. All I know is that this military exercise has been notified. We have been informed. I suppose the Russians have lived up to all their obligations as regards transparency. But as I have been in meetings the whole day, I don't have more details about this exercise.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed. We'll see you tomorrow.